Tonight on NewsWatch, calling on the Nigerian government to do more. How the world is now responding to the kidnapping of nearly 300 teenage girls.
Plus, clashing over climate change, why some say a new government report doesn't show the whole picture.
And how to stay happily married. CBN News looks at some common marriage myths. All this and more tonight on NewsWatch. More than 3 weeks after a brutal group kidnapping, hundreds of Nigerian families continue to live a nightmare. Good evening. I'm Mark Martin.
And I'm Heather Sells. The U.S. and other governments are now promising to help find the nearly 300 schoolgirls taken by the terror group Boko Haram.
But as John Waggy explains in tonight's top story, sympathy and even military help may not be enough.
While the world protested, Boko Haram took another 11 girls captive Monday night. That's added to the 276 still held after the group raided a school more than 3 weeks ago.
I am a Boko Haram.
This is their leader bragging about the kidnappings. Despite the direct connection to radical Islam, some social activists in the West are trying to suggest that poverty is at the core of the kidnappings. But President Obama says the U.S. will assist Nigeria on a different scale.
They've accepted our help, a combination of military, law enforcement, and other agencies who are going in, trying to identify where, in fact, these girls might be and to provide them help.
This girl is one of 53 who escaped her captors. She says, "We thought they were soldiers and they asked us to board the vehicle which headed to Gamboa. And my friends and I jumped from the vehicle and ran back home because we realized they didn't look innocent." The delays in getting to Boko Haram make some experts pessimistic about the other girls.
The more time goes by, I think the less likely it is that they will be rescued.
There are fears that some of the girls may have been sold as brides already, and that hits home with leaders around the world, including British Prime Minister David Cameron, who responded to a colleague's question in Parliament.
I'm the father of 2 young daughters, and my reaction is exactly the same as his and every father or mother in this land or in the world. This is an act of pure evil. It's united people across the planet to stand with Nigeria to help find these children and return them to their parents.
The U.S. Senate passed a resolution Tuesday condemning the kidnappings, and lawmakers held a moment of silence on Capitol Hill. But heartfelt symbolism is likely to fall short when dealing with a group that is conducting what it believes is a holy war. John Waggy, CBN News.
And Boko Haram tonight is being blamed for bringing more terror to Nigeria. Details are emerging about an attack on a northern village. Hundreds have reportedly been killed.
Here at home, critics are calling the new White House report on climate change alarmist. The report says global warming is already causing extreme weather. Republicans say President Obama will use it simply to push new regulations on the energy industry. And Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell said that could include a national energy tax.
And I'm sure he'll get loud cheers from liberal elites, from the kind of people who leave a giant carbon footprint and then lecture everybody else about low-flow toilets.
McConnell also said that more regulations wouldn't really make a difference.
So even if we were to enact the kind of national energy regulations the president seems to want so badly, it would be unlikely to meaningfully impact global emissions anyway, unless other major industrial nations do the same thing. That means getting countries like China and India on board. The president knows that. The president also knows that much of the pain of imposing such regulations would be borne by our own middle class.
Now, a recent Gallup poll actually found that climate change ranked next to last out of 15 different issues. Only 24% of the public worries about it a great deal, and 51% say they worry about it a little or not at all.
For more on the climate change report, we turn now to Weather Bell's Joe Bastardi. Joe, do you agree with Mitch McConnell that the White House report is alarmist?
The more I look at this over the years, the more I've decided that there's very little there's very little science that's actually involved anymore in it, because at the very least, there's enough overwhelming evidence that there's doubt and outright refutation of this idea that 0.04% of the atmosphere, carbon dioxide, is causing the planet to go into a death spiral, so to speak. So, no, I don't believe it.
Do you think humans are really responsible for climate change and that changing our behavior would help?
If you actually think about the makeup of the planet, the fact that its design has 3/4 of the land in the northern hemisphere, 3/4 of the ocean in the south, that it tilts on its axis, it revolves around the sun, you could see that the magnitude of everything around carbon dioxide boxes it in to such a severe limitation that any impact it has would be lost in the noise of trying to measure it.
Many on the left, Joe, as you know, have been beating this drum of climate change for a long time, but most Americans are not concerned about it. Why do you think that is?
Well, because most Americans are intuitive enough to know that that it doesn't exist in the way that some of these folks are trying to portray it. It doesn't matter to me whether there's a climate fight or not. The only reason I'm involved is I've used climatology and climate all my life to form weather forecasts as the basis, the foundation for looking forward is always understanding what happened in the past. Now, if this went away tomorrow, doesn't make any difference to me. I'm still on here with you from time to time about the weather and other aspects, of what the weather's doing. But just imagine if you sunk your entire life into this whole climate fight and then all of a sudden it's taken away from you, or your hero worship is gone. So I think that has something to do with it. It's very, very tough to admit that you're wrong about something when you've staked a position on it. As far as I'm concerned with this situation, climate and climatology is something I was taught to use as a foundation for the weather forecast. So consequently, I know what happened before. And at first it was amusing watching people trying to say that this is the worst ever. Now it's getting to a point where I see it limiting what we do as a nation. And and as mankind, I think it's a very, very nasty problem. And someday we're going to look back at this and see exactly what damage has been done by folks that are trying to push their agenda down everyone's throat.
All right, Joe, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate your no-nonsense approach.
Well, you enjoy the weather, though. It's the only weather you got.
House Democrats are protesting plans to investigate that deadly attack on the U.S. Consulate in Benghazi, Libya. They say the investigating panel should be made up of an even number of Republicans and Democrats. Democratic leaders sent a letter to House Speaker John Boehner accusing Republicans of, quote, extreme and counterproductive partisanship. They say the panel needs a fundamentally different approach for the investigation. But some Republicans say they should have more seats on the panel since they have more seats in the House.
Russian President Vladimir Putin is calling on pro-Russia separatists in eastern Ukraine to delay their planned referendum on autonomy Sunday. Separatist leaders in Donetsk and Luhansk say they will consider Putin's request at a meeting this Thursday. The Obama administration calls this latest referendum effort illegal and is urging all Ukrainians to vote on their future in nationwide elections set for May 25th. Meanwhile, Putin says Russia has pulled back its troops from the Ukrainian border, but Washington says it sees no evidence of a pullback. The disintegrating situation in Ukraine has led to an increase in anti-Semitic attacks in the country.
As our Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell reports, many Jews are talking about escaping to Israel.
19 Ukrainian Jews arrived in Israel this week after escaping the violence engulfing their country. Others still wait and worry about relatives left behind.
I'm from Donetsk. I arrived to Israel in 1991 with my family. But still now I have in Donetsk my aunt. She's 86 and I'm very worried.
Elena Feingold works for the Jewish Agency, helping people come home to Israel.
For the Jewish people, it's different, and it's different in all cities. The one thing is common, that we feel that the Jews want to go to Israel.
In the early 1990s, more than 1 million Jews immigrated to Israel from the former Soviet Union, many of them from Ukraine. That tapered off, but now immigration from the Ukraine has risen more than 100% in the first months of this year. Friends Elena and Daria arrived on this week's flight.
Because it's a difficult situation in my country. I'm from Ukraine. That's why I'm here. And I love Israel. I've been here many times. I have relatives here. That's my country.
It's a hard situation. Every day people are dying there. I don't know if it's safe now to be there for Jews.
This flight was sponsored by the International Christian Embassy Jerusalem, which began helping Jews immigrate to Israel more than 25 years ago.
The embassy has already helped more than 40,000 Ukrainian Jews come home. Sometimes it was in times of conflict. This seems to be another occasion where Jews are endangered in Ukraine. There has been an increase in anti-Semitic attacks, and they're wanting to come home.
Parsons sees this return as a part of biblical prophecy.
We do believe that the return of the Jewish people is a fulfillment of God's promises to bring the Jews back. Even in the Hebrew prophets, it speaks of Gentiles assisting with this, and we see ourselves in Scripture as those Gentiles that God has beckoned to, as it says in Isaiah 49, to come help with the return of the Jews back to the land.
Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
And coming up, how one couple is working to bring the criminal acts of Dr. Kermit Gosnell into the light.
I was having some pains between my shoulder blades. At that point, everything changed. Diagnosis, pancreatic cancer. First, there was prayer. The second is to fight. As soon as we walked through those doors at Cancer Treatment Centers of America, all my anxiety left. The pastoral care here is based on the Bible, based on the Word of God, just as it is at our own church.
When you combine the great medicine with the spiritual resources we have, it provides the patients with something that really can make a difference.
You got a pastor right there on staff praying with patients, and whether it be scripture or whether it just be a word of encouragement to say, God's got this.
If you or someone you love is fighting complex or advanced stage cancer, go to cancercenter.com/faith. You'll learn how our treatment results compare to national averages and see a list of insurance plans with which we've worked. Advanced medicine and technology, the warm embrace of the Spirit.
I firmly believe God led me here.
Call or go to cancercenter.com. Cancer Treatment Centers of America. Care that never quits. Appointments available now.
This is a national healthcare alert from the Health Hotline. If you, a family member, or a loved one suffers from knee pain and have Medicare as your primary insurance, we've got great news. You could qualify for a pain-relieving knee brace at little or no cost to you. Get free delivery, and all the paperwork is handled by our accredited suppliers at no charge to you. If you are on Medicare and have knee pain, don't wait. You may qualify to immediately receive a pain-relieving brace at little or no cost. Friendly agents are standing by 24/7 to help you. Call the Health Hotline right now for details toll-free. Our friendly representatives are standing by now to take your call. We also have other pain-relieving braces available for shoulder, ankle, and your back. You may be eligible to receive these items and more at little or no cost to you as well. Call right now for details toll-free.
Operators are standing by. Call 855-740-8143. That's 855-740-8143. Again, 855-740-8143. That's 855-740-8143.
Welcome back. CBN News first reported on it back in February of 2010. The story of thousands of babies potentially killed over the span of 30 years by a late-term abortion doctor in Philadelphia.
Critics say his crimes were hidden by a continuous campaign of censorship, making it one of the most important stories never told.
John Jessup introduces us to people who are trying to bring the untold story to light.
For years, the sign on this building read Women's Medical Society. But after learning what was going on inside, it became known as a house of horrors. The abortion clinic owner and practitioner, Dr. Kermit Gosnell, is now serving 3 life sentences for killing babies that were born alive. Last May, a Philadelphia jury also found him guilty of killing a 41-year-old woman in a botched abortion.
A year after the guilty conviction, it's here in Los Angeles, the other side of the country, where the next chapter of the story is unfolding. Independent filmmakers Ann McElhaney and her husband Philip McAleer have made it their mission to make a movie exposing the truth about Kermit Gosnell.
I think this is the biggest serial killer in American history, and Americans need to know
what was done and how it happened and how he was allowed to go on killing for 40 years.
McAleer and his wife plan to bring the story to the small screen sometime next year. But first, they need to raise enough money. They've launched a crowdfunding campaign on Indiegogo, a site that pulls individual donations to help get creative projects off the ground. So far, they've raised about 90% of their $2.1 million goal.
We feel an enormous responsibility now to tell this story well and to do it right. So we are very worried we're not going to meet the total. We're very exhausted because we're working so hard.
But then every day something happens that makes us think, oh my God, this is extraordinary. Like last week, we had a man who tweeted out a photograph of his just born granddaughter and said to celebrate her birth on that day, he sent us $100.
They view each donation as a vote, voicing opposition to what they call media censorship, noting the big network's refusal to cover the Gosnell story in favor of the Jodi Arias trial. The filmmakers say the censoring campaign continued when Kickstarter, their original choice for funding, asked them to make some changes.
So Kickstarter were just continuing in that grand tradition of censoring this story, of making sure that the light, the antiseptic light of truth, would never ever penetrate this Philadelphia abortion clinic where these children were murdered, thousands of them. And to this day, they are unremembered. We're going to change all that.
They've taken their crusade to the conservative media, and their efforts are getting some help from major Hollywood backers like Kevin Sorbo, the star of the recent film God's Not Dead.
We'd like to ask you to help our friends Anne McElhenney and Phelim McAleer to make a film about Kermit Gosnell.
If the media won't do their job, then we can do it ourselves.
They're celebrities, they're Hollywood people. As you know, Kevin has just had this very successful movie. And, you know, we just went and we asked them, and they didn't hesitate for a second, not for a millisecond. They said, we're in.
No strangers to tackling controversy, they believe this film will have the power to change the abortion debate in America. But they say that won't happen if they fail to meet their goal.
Then all the money goes back to the people. The money goes straight back to their credit card. But the film doesn't get made, and Kermit Gosnell's name then fades into obscurity. His crimes fade into obscurity.
And all the people who don't want the story to be known win.
And his victims are never remembered.
Something they vow not to let happen. John Jessup, CBN News, Los Angeles.
For more information on this film project, you can visit our website, cbnnews.com. We'll be right back.
Hello? Is this thing on? Hey, kids, do you love games? And do you love discovering things? Well, do ya?
Then you're gonna love this. It's the new free Superbook Kids Bible app. You can play games, watch videos, find answers to your questions, and a whole lot more. The new Superbook Kids Bible app. Free downloads available on iTunes and Google Play now.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need, just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions, just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card, just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Well, pretty much everybody knows that half of all marriages end in divorce, but there's just one problem. It's not true.
Yeah, in tonight's Focus Report, Paul Strand looks at the myths about divorce and the reality of successful marriages in America.
Harvard-trained researcher Shanti Feldhahn works with her husband Jeff to help people with their marriages and relationships. At one point, this Atlanta-based couple believed and shared information that most marriages are unhappy, and 50% of them end in divorce, even in the church.
I didn't know. I've stood up on stage and said every one of these wrong statistics.
Then 8 years ago, Shanti asked her assistant for specific research on divorce for an article she was writing. Neither of them could find any real numbers, and that kicked off a personal and long crusade to find the truth. And it was a revelation, as she reveals in her book, The Good News About Marriage.
First-time marriages, probably about 20 to 25% have ended in divorce on average. Now, okay, that's still too high, right? But it's a whole lot better than what people think it is.
Shanti and Jeff point out the 50% figure came from projections of what researchers thought the divorce rate would become.
But the divorce rate has been dropping. We've never hit those numbers. We've never gotten close.
So imagine the implications of this. Half of marriages do not end in divorce. They never have. So the chances of yours making it aren't a measly 50-50. They're more like 70, 75, 80%. That can give couples a lot of hope. And hope is often the fuel a marriage needs to survive and even thrive. Shanti says hopelessness itself can actually lead to divorce.
That sense of futility itself pulls down marriages. And the problem is we have this culture-wide feeling of futility about marriage.
Christian psychotherapist Angel Davis agrees.
The Bible says hope deferred, it makes our heart sick. And we are so influenced by numbers and by culture.
And it's based on all these discouraging beliefs that many of them just aren't true.
Jeff Feldhahn says anytime he tells people about his wife's findings, they're stunned.
Their mouth drops open and they're just shocked because they go, I can't believe I believed this all these years. And I've heard it so many times. And I've heard it from the pulpit so many times.
This is a great chance to stand up and say, we were all fooled, not anymore.
To that end, Shanti's been working to spread this news to pastors and other leaders as fast as she can. It totally changed Virginia pastor Daniel Floyd's counseling because he had bought into fictional research.
I told her, I said, I've said this, I've taught this.
He's sure it will change a generation of marriage counseling.
I think it's significant and could change the conversation from one that is, wow, it's just the way it is, and half of you are going to make it, half of you are not, and change the conversation to know historically, overwhelming majority have made it, and you can make it.
We know in psychology that what you believe affects how you feel, and then it leads to actions. So when other people are accomplishing something we think is hopeless, it gives us hope. And then we start feeling different and then start acting different.
Shanti says a majority of us believe only about 30% of marriages are happy.
Most people think most marriages are just kind of just kind of rolling along. And they're shocked when I tell them that the actual average is 80%. 80% of marriages are happy.
Not knowing that often leads couples to avoid marriage and just shack up instead.
Like, if I'm just going to get divorced and I'm not going to be happy, why bother getting married, right? And it's based on a lie. That feeling is based on a lie.
Pastor Floyd says these new facts can be a game changer.
I think really helps people in the challenging moments to say, if I'll just stick with it, then there's a good chance I'm going to make it the distance.
With hope, you feel that you can make it through, even though you're in a tough patch.
And Shanti agrees the numbers prove most of the unhappily married can turn it around.
The studies show that if they stay married for 5 years, that almost 80% of those will be happy 5 years later.
The good news about marriage reveals more, like the fact the divorce rate among those active in their church is 27 to 50% lower than among non-churchgoers. Shanti's hope is that once people learn the truth, that they will spread it far and wide.
We need to change the paradigm of how we think and talk about marriage, from marriage being in trouble and all this discouraging stuff to saying, no, wait, most marriages are strong and happy for a lifetime. That makes a total difference to a couple's feeling that, you know what, most people get through this and we can too.
Paul Strand, CBN News, reporting from Atlanta.
Up next, how a hero dog helped one little boy survive a cold North Dakota night.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Well, we have a family pet who's being hailed as a hero up in North Dakota.
That after he helped protect a toddler who wandered off while playing. 1 minute, 3-year-old Carson Yurnis was in the backyard. The next, he was gone. About 200 people quickly joined his parents and police in the search for the boy, racing against a setting sun and incoming cold temperatures. Around 2 a.m., after hours of searching, Carson was found about a mile from his home. And guess who was with him? Cooper, the family dog. He was actually lying on top of the boy, keeping him warm.
Mom, I was really scared, but Cooper laid on me, he goes, and he said he kept me warm, and I said, what about your feet? And he said, no, not those.
Jeremy? That's a great dog. Well, Cooper, it turns out, was a stray dog the family saved from the side of the road. Now they say the family pet is the one that did the saving. Isn't that the truth?
He returned the favor.
He did. Great dog.
Heartwarming story. That's all for this edition of Newswatch.
Thanks for watching. We appreciate your time tonight. Have a good night.